Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Lady Vengeance, also known as Sympathy for Lady Vengeance, a Korean drama from 2005 that was directed by Park Chan-wook and stars Lee Geum-ja and Choi Min-sik. Now this is the third film in Park's Vengeance trilogy, along with Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance and Oldboy. Fun fact, this is the first Korean film I ever saw in a cinema back in the day, and there haven't been many overall. So a Christian musical procession waits with a symbolic block of tofu outside of a prison for the release of Lee Geum-ja, played by Lee Geum-ja, a reformed female prisoner. Now convicted of kidnapping and murdering a 6-year-old schoolboy 13 years earlier, Geum-ja became a national sensation because of her young age, angelic appearance, and eager confession to the crime. However, she became an inspirational model for prisoner reform during her incarceration, and her apparent spiritual transformation earned her an early release. Free, she is now intent on revenge. So in terms of style, I actually think Lady Vengeance feels even more stylized than its predecessors, and its predecessors had some serious style to them. You know, this movie has a variety of scenes. They use some clever editing and scoring and visuals and all that type of stuff blended together. I mean, I think Park kind of directs the hell out of this movie, and it's pretty fun to watch. Scene transitions, even, are expertly crafted and seamless, despite shifting back and forth in time. Like, especially during the first 30 to 40 minutes, there's a lot of shifting back and forth, which you might think might be a little bit confusing, but it is not at all, because of how well directed and put together this is. Even the opening credits are fantastic. And really, that opening 30 to 40 minutes is basically one gigantic montage that's supplemented with music. It's pretty fantastic, really fast-paced and engaging. And I think that some people have problems with this film for its middle section, due mostly to the interaction with the Australian parents and the little girl. I did like that element to the film, and it does make sense given the trajectory of the story. I mean, the scriptwriters needed a motivation for our main protagonist to stay in prison and serve her sentence, and they found one. Now, when she gets out, you need to develop that subplot in that primary relationship, otherwise you're leaving out like a major character element of our protagonist. So I was actually pretty fine with the middle section of this film. It actually has some pretty entertaining bits of humor to it, and I liked it. And speaking of our protagonist, she's a pretty compelling character who is multidimensional and likable despite her flaws. Lee Geum-ja gives pretty fantastic performance in this. She's required to exhibit a wide range of strong emotions, and she's perfectly convincing in every single scene. She's such a great actress. I mean, her filmography resume is actually pretty small because she retired for a while from the industry. But if you have not, checked out this actress's roles, definitely, most of the stuff she's in is worth watching. Now, most people in the West are probably familiar with her from Joint Security Era, as another film that came before this. But I actually remember reading some articles when Lady Vengeance first came out back in the mid-2000s that some Korean viewers were having a little bit of difficulty seeing this actress in this role because of her popularity in a television series called Daejang-gum. And that series was insanely popular. And she played a very virtuous character in that show. So now, like a year or two after that, she's in this movie, Lady Vengeance. Is kind of she does some bad stuff in this movie. So I've heard, I'm not sure if it's true, but I've heard that some Korean viewers had a little bit of trouble making that jump. And by the way, Daejang-gum, that television series, is one of the best TV shows I've ever seen. And I still need to review that for this channel at some point in the next few years. But her character in Lady Vengeance definitely has a darker element to it than her television stardom role, I guess you could call it. But Lee is so good, she can make it work. Choi Min-sik is a total slime ball in this movie, and he's fun to watch. Any fans of him, they'll like him in this. And then we get a few cameos here and there that are fun to spot, so look out for those. Now, Lady Vengeance also has a large infusion of black humor. It has more black humor than its predecessors. I laughed quite a bit while watching this, especially during the opening half. The music is also pretty fantastic. I think Korean films in the 2000s had more memorable music in terms of scoring than Korean films nowadays. It just seems that way. Like, I only have a handful of soundtracks for Korean films, but all of them are from the early to mid 2000s. So I think they could probably up their game a little bit with the orchestral hooks and stuff like that nowadays. And then we have the final third of this movie, which plays out quite differently from what you might expect going into it. I did not see that final third of the film coming, but I enjoyed it because it explored the theme of vengeance from a few different angles, and the ending I found to be quite impactful. So in general, I think Lady Vengeance does keep the viewer off balance a little bit, and it goes in some odd directions in terms of how it develops its core theme, but that's understandable. Why most people think that this is probably the weakest installment of this trilogy. The critics seem to think Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance is the weakest, whereas the movie fans seem to think that Lady Vengeance is the weakest. But I really enjoy this. I do. I think it's in the same stratosphere as its predecessors, no matter how you order them, and I strongly recommend this. It is available streaming and on physical media. And if you can listen to the audio commentary with director Park and the lead actress, check that out. It's pretty entertaining. And as always, we will see you next time.